Great day. Today is day 6 of Annabelle's board and rehabilitation program. And apparently a lot of you guys have become super interested in Annabelle and the process of trying to take her from an animal with generalized anxiety disorder, all these fears of everything, to a calmer animal, more confident animal, something that will have a much higher quality of life and will also be able to mitigate any sort of safety concerns. A lot of questions up to this point have centered around exactly what are the medications you're giving to Annabelle, what are the dosages, how often do you give them, and also tell me a little bit more about the stress response and how you utilize the stress response to determine the effective dose, because that's exactly where we are right now, and we are honing in on it as of today. Okay, so let me go over the medication first, because this is the easiest part real quick. Fluoxetine is an antidepressant of the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor class. And currently, I recommend this medication because it can help Annabelle achieve a global lessening of anxiety by simply increasing the volume of serotonin, one of the greatest mood regulators of all time, in her blood, QD, which means once a day. We give it to her every single morning, roughly about the same time. The other medication is buspirone, commonly known as Buspar in the generic world, and we're giving her a total of 15 milligrams twice a day. And right now, just while we're on the hunt for the effective dose, we're giving that to her pretty much the same times every single day. Roughly, she gets it about 9 a.m., so that the onset is about 30 to 45 minutes, which will make her perfect for when I want to start working with her and evaluating her more thoroughly. And then also about 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The alprazolam is an anxiolytic, meaning it's anti-panic, anti-anxiety are words. It's a panicolytic benzodiazepine. And our hands on that today, hopefully, because we're expecting thunderstorms tomorrow. And we will use this time that there's a thunderstorm, especially if it's a severe thunderstorm, and we've had quite a few of those this spring. So this will disrupt the panic. She'll be aware of the thunderstorm, but a panic level. Dosage could be, for her given weight, anything from 0.02 to 0.04 milligrams per dosage, and we will give that PRN as needed, only as needed. Okay, so now let me hop up here to the stress response and try and take to make something simple out of something very complex. In short, the stress response is non-specific. It affects you the same way. The whole purpose of the stress response is to immobilize the body in preparation for when it becomes frightened, when it feels like it needs to flee, when it feels like it needs to fight, or to reproduce. And those, at its simplest form, is simply like staving off death. Okay, so the last one, staving off death. And that gets done in a lot of ways by either avoiding something dangerous or confronting something that could be dangerous, or stress response affects the zebra and the lion for different reasons. But either way, you have to restriction. By the way, listen to that bark. Pan over to her real quick, Coleman. Bark there. Go ahead and pan back. Not sure if we caught it, but the important thing is that I'm going with this whole thing here for her, starting to do what we call something between avoiding, because she was just fleeing. Every time she saw a UPS truck, a box truck, certain people walking by, other dogs walking by, she would flee. So she was choosing the avoidance option. And that was her only option. Flee, 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 right here. Flight, take flight. But now she's starting to use the option of display. And display can be used for fight, and it can also be used to, and her display is auditory. She's now learned to bark. In fact, what she does, barking. You ever see a dog that kind of fills their cheeks full of air, and they go, oh, woof, woof. It's kind of like a little woof with their cheeks. And that's what I would term as a non-committal type barking. In other words, she doesn't want to fully commit to the bark. It's kind of like, well, let me just try this first. Woof. See if that works. Did it work? And if it works, maybe I'll increase the volume. In other words, I'll rapidly start to increase the signal until I finally have a full whoa, 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 whoa type bark. And it's indicative that we're probably getting close to the effective dose on all of our medications. Our prone, but we're definitely finding the effective dose on that, because now the forebrain is choosing an option other than run. other than running. So you always pay attention to this. Her outside of doing these lives, I'll break it down frame by frame by frame. And now when certain, what we determine are threats to her, she's now standing her ground and squinting. And when you squint, this using the muscles of your eyes to compress the lens in your eyes. It's kind of like expanding a telescope so that you can bring it into more focus, whatever that object is. And we do it all the time, especially me at my age. I do a lot of squinting at things because I'm trying to bring it into focus. The fact that she's doing predatory inspection. These are walking is horrible, quiet later. But for now, the fact that she's just standing right there at that fence, not choosing to flee. We have a truck that pulled in right over here. We have a couple things, people. This is what I look for just to make sure I've got this, because if this is working correctly and this is working correctly, then that is going to support the stress response in what we would call a healthy way, the way I'm looking for to disrupt panic. We have a large truck going by. Let's take a look here. Very good, very good. No fleeing, casually walking. Again, what I'm looking for. So guys, when you're on the hunt times, your veterinarian is going to prescribe, rightly so, standard mg per kg for the situation, for your dog's condition. But then outside of that, that doesn't mean that that 15 milligrams is all I'm going to need. I may need something greater than that. And that's why we hunt for it, so it will be effective. Okay, I hope that answered your questions. Trust me, we have about 6 more weeks with Annabelle. I will be doing numerous lives, and if you have other explaining into far greater detail as I start to actually work with her, which should be the very next video I do, probably in about 2 days from now. So stay tuned for that.